Good evening, everybody. You got Kody Ashmore, Director of Weekly Option Strategies, bringing you this free options video. And when it comes to these videos, I think there is a lot of value that comes to an actionable trade setup. And today's setup that I am liking, that I entered on today, but it is shorting Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it. Nonetheless, it has dark pool volume, it has trend, pattern, sector correlation, everything in the books that looks like it wants lower prices. So let's go ahead and break down the trade. First, this is what I call a low base breakdown. When you look at it, you have lower prices, right? We have a flush lower. We have relatively equal highs and lows. This is the base. Now, within this base, there was a lot of larger dark pool transactions. In all honesty, I thought this was potentially going to be just accumulation and then we go higher. This is why we wait for a trigger, or why I wait for a trigger, anyways, when entering a position. Because the trigger is to the downside. And now, what is the trigger? The trigger is a close below the equal highs and lows. And in this case, it is the lows. So I'm going to go ahead and actually activate this trend line and draw across. So you can see how we closed below where the recent lows have been. This indicates that this is opening the next leg lower. So now what about the dark pool volume? So when I talk about dark pool volume, there's always concern like, is it buying, is it selling, things like that. And in all honesty, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that level needs to be respected as a level of interest, because it doesn't matter if there is a million, or I don't know, like we'll exaggerate a little bit, a 50 million share transaction that was a sell, but if more buyers come into that seller, then obviously it's going to push price right out of the way. It doesn't really matter, but it is an area worth noting. Now, whenever this particular transactions will occur, and I just mapped out, and there's a bunch in this little base, or in this large base anyways, but I only put the largest ones that typically have occurred in this area. And you can see them, and I put them in the spots where they happened. But basically, there was a balance of buyers and sellers to this zone. And then today, that imbalance finally occurred. And so there is the trigger to the breakdown of this low base formation on one of my favorite things to see, greater than average volume. In fact, it's average 21-day volume. Why do I have 21 days? Because there's average of 21 trading days in a month. That's why I have 21 days. It doesn't really matter how you wish to slice it. So you could either be 188,000%, or today there was 203,000% of its average daily volume. It doesn't matter. Nonetheless, it is above average, and you can just see a big fat volume bar down here. So what does that mean? There is volume coming into this selling. So we have this entire setup looking lower. Now, one thing I have not mentioned yet was sector correlation, which is XLC. So XLC is also in a bearish trend, breaking down lower. And if you are unaware how heavy Meta is in XLC, it is actually its highest asset. So we have Meta platforms and XLC. XLC is also breaking down on above average volume. Then we look at Meta. It has a low base with dark pool volume, and it's triggering today. So what if you're not in it short already today? How can you as a viewer participate in this type of pattern? There's several ways. If there is no huge gap down tomorrow, say it just opens flat, sure, I still think that's worth an entry. Or you could wait for I talk about this all the time in the options room, a break, retest, and fail, and that's when you take it for the next leg lower. So either one works. And what I really like about this pattern, excuse me, what I really like about this pattern is its entries and exits are pretty clear. So you have the breakdown here, and I'm actually going to hold my stop up here at this high, as I am holding, actually, I have options all the way to the October expiration. And so yes, and I have my stop up here. Now, why up here? Why at these highs? So there is the 50-day SMA, which is this blue line. But one thing worth noting that you really can't see right there, but let me zoom in. Well, if it'll let me. There we go. Is You see these large volume bars right here? They are right here. So this shows that there was volume interested in this zone, right? So as long as price stays below this level, I'm expecting price to continue lower. So I want to have the loose stop up here and then trail my stops as price continues. Because after a huge move lower, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to come up, get a little bit of a rally, then potentially lower from there. But nonetheless, this looks like it wants to make a leg lower based off of the trend lower, the dark pool, the low base pattern, sector weakness. Everything is pointing to lower prices. So I hope this video helps you out there. But like I said, it's confirming day, a lower price action. If you do wish to follow along and trade it yourself, I personally want to have a stop here for now, but nothing is wrong with having a stop simply at these highs as it broke the price here. But if we have a huge gap down tomorrow, wait for a retest and then fail if it does occur. But I hope you found this video helpful, and I will catch you on the next one.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me